Africa is not poor in the way this title usually gets used. Why Africa is not poor, the truth they don't tell you, is that the continent is not short on value, land, people, resources, or potential. It is short on the systems that turn those things into broad prosperity. That is the real story, and the difference matters. If you miss that distinction, you end up confusing extraction with poverty. Stay with me, because the gap between those two ideas explains almost everything. The first mistake is treating Africa like one economy. It is not. It is 54 countries, each with different histories, institutions, and levels of infrastructure. Some places have fast-growing cities, strong service sectors, and expanding middle classes. Others are trapped by conflict, debt, weak governance, or geography. So when people say Africa is poor, they flatten a continent into a slogan. That sounds simple. It is also wrong. The second layer is wealth versus ownership. Africa holds enormous natural wealth. Minerals, oil, gas, farmland, forests, and some of the youngest populations on earth. But raw wealth is not the same as captured wealth. If the value is exported, underpriced, or controlled by a narrow elite, the average citizen does not feel rich. That is the hidden mechanism. The continent often produces value, but too little of it stays in local hands long enough to build durable prosperity. And here's the part people skip. Poverty is not only about what a place has, it is about what it can convert. Roads, power grids, ports, schools, courts, and stable policy are the conversion tools. Without them, even a resource-rich country can look poor on the ground. A farmer with fertile land still struggles if transport is broken. A miner still loses value if processing happens elsewhere. A young population becomes an advantage only when jobs, training, and capital exist to absorb it. That is why the conversation should shift from why is Africa poor to why has so much potential remained underconverted. That question is sharper and it is more honest. It points to colonial extraction, post-independence policy failures, debt pressure, corruption, conflict, and global trade structures that reward exporting raw materials instead of building local industry. None of that means Africa is doomed. It means the bottleneck is structural, not biological or cultural. And this is where the optimistic part becomes real. Africa's growth story is not waiting for a miracle. It depends on compounding basics: reliable electricity, better logistics, stronger institutions, regional trade, and investment that builds capacity instead of draining it. When those pieces improve, the same continent people call poor starts to look very different. Not because the land changed, because the system did. So the truth they don't tell you is simple. Africa is not poor in potential. It is often blocked in conversion. That is a very different problem, and it comes with a very different solution. Once you see that, the headline changes. The question is no longer whether Africa has wealth. The question is who gets to keep it, build it, and multiply it.